Hey friend, it's Pela on Conversations with Pela. And this morning I'm just not cooling down. And I ask myself every single day when this is the case, is it the summertime heat or is it menopause? I don't know. I don't. I don't know. I can't tell the difference. I just know that I'm hot. So I've got my little fan out here that my mama brought me back from, possibly from the store and possibly from Samoa. I don't remember. But I'm just trying to stay cool. So give me a moment. I am going to make all the sweat disappear, all the fine lines be moisturized on my face, and we'll get started. I do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Utah Grown. Again, check them out at utahgrown.co because they are the leading educator in the cannabis program, not just for potential patients, but also for medical providers. That is the place to go. But I want to make a quick announcement for them. Starting August 1st, every other Saturday is going to be called SLC Saturdays, and your ability to get your medical card just got a little bit easier. Here's what's happening. Starting August 1st, Utah Grown is open in Salt Lake City every other Saturday because your weekend shouldn't have to wait for you to get your medical card. This is for renewals. This is for new cards. So just know it's $70 plus an $8 state fee. Your card will be valid for one whole year. It's fast. They're easy renewals or even first time evaluations. Get onto utahgrown.co and look at the qualifying medical conditions and see if this is something that will potentially work for you. But just know that you don't have to take time off of work anymore and you can get certified on your schedule. Book your Saturday appointment today at utahgrown.co. All right, friend, let's get into it. Uh, in this last week, I'm going to say it this way. It was July 25th because I cannot recall what day that was. I think that was Friday. On a Saturday. On July 25th, there was a show that Usher did. Probably, I'm going to say in Nashville. It's crazy how many things I allow to just tell you, how do I say it? I allow myself to tell you off the top of my head without writing it down because there's certain things I just kind of remember. Back in the 90s, specifically in 97, Usher came out with the song, You Make Me Want to Leave the One I'm With, Start a New Relationship, Choose. I don't know what he says next because I sing the rest of that song phonetically. That's just who I am. Anyway, I like that song so much, but he never got around to choosing the girl. At least I don't think he did because I sang the rest of that song phonetically, meaning that I don't know how the story played out. I just know that he kept saying that, this gal was like good enough that he wanted to leave his current relationship. Then he didn't do it. And the fact that he didn't do it made me feel like you are really you're just giving somebody the runaround. You're just wasting this woman's time. And from that day forward, I could never have a crush on Usher. In fact, there were a couple of other things that really came out about Usher that I could not get down with. And it'll probably come up because every time I speak about this man, it goes this way. Now, let me stop for 1 second to say this. I love celebrity gossip because I don't know them. For the most part, I don't know most of the celebrities. Or do I? Not only do I not know for sure Usher, I don't know Usher, but Usher doesn't know me. So I could tell you all his business because somebody else already put it out there. And this is the case of any press is good press, I assume. Anyway, so here's what happened. Usher has had a long running show. He's had a Vegas residency. And so it was easy for people to find him to catch this show, and this show has been going for such a long time. And most people know that there is a segment where he brings an audience member up on the stage and he sings a very sexy song and he does very sexy like things to that audience member. Most people know that that is the run of the show. And when he has this segment, most people know that if they get called on stage, that is going to be their experience. Not only is that going to be their experience, but likely that performance will make it to the interwebs that fast, very quickly. So he had a show last week. He did his thing. I believe he was in Nashville. And the gal who came up on stage was like, I refuse to watch it because I don't really enjoy this performance. But she came up and she was very like not into what was going on, but also a little standoffish, and people like and at some point Usher said, and it wasn't like a point like way into this, but he was just like, y'all, I don't think she wants to be up here, and they let her go back to her seat. Well, she responded to it later, which was a little unnecessary, but there has been an incredible amount of conversation about this. Why? I'll tell you why. Because, like I said, most people know that part of the Usher show is that if you get called up on stage as an audience member, that this whole thing is going to happen. It happened with Keke Palmer shortly after she had her baby. She a little bit thicker at that point, and she was showing off all her curves. She went to the Usher show. He pulled her up on stage, but she's a performer. He's a performer. That performance went off the rails, and Kiki's man, the father of her child, did not like it. So then that story went big and wide because he had a lot to say. And in saying all of that, everybody was like, "Ooh, girl, you in danger." Uh, he did not do well for himself in the press. This is Kiki's man, Keke Palmer's father to her child. I hate saying baby daddy. I just don't like that term. Lots of people have gotten up there. Most of them are unknown. There was a performance that Usher did with Alicia, and he was hugging on Alicia. Alicia had to go after that performance and explain to everyone how solid her marriage was to her husband. And like they put out a whole campaign about how like their marriage was good. That's the kind of performance that Usher puts on every time. Now, this lady responded eventually after the show because it did go pretty viral that she was not into that performance and that he said, I don't think she wants to be here, and he let her go. First of all, kudos to Usher. Kudos to him for looking and being like, you know what? She's not feeling this. Even though this is not working out for the show, his response felt more like respect for this woman's clear boundary that she was not into whatever was going on, and was like, okay, let's not do this. He did later make a comment at another show. He's like, if you come up here, you better want to be up here, something like that. Which then triggers all these memories and these stories about Usher, who I don't know. I clarify again, but there was backlash because there are a lot of people who are like, well, why were you in the VIP section getting ready for this? Well, this girl thought she did get brought into the VIP section. She thought she was going to be on stage, but she thought it was going to be with Chris Brown. And she's like, I thought it was going to be with Chris Brown and not Usher. And I'm just not into him like that. I'm reading her statement. I did not see her say this, but I imagine that the way she said it was maybe a little bit slightly, probably unintentionally disrespectful to Usher. But people like Lisa Ray came out, and I think that celebrities are trying not to say, but they are saying, if you knew that this was part of the show, why did you put yourself in that position? I don't think that that makes a lot of sense. But I think that from the standpoint of an entertainer, you kind of expect that people understand your show and they're not going to do something to be in the way, right? But I think from a very just human perspective, people are always allowed to change their mind. They're always allowed to change their mind. Now, do I have that feeling about roller coasters? No. Like, I hate roller coasters. But if you made me stand in line with you to go on a roller coaster, and now we're at the front and you don't want to get on, you're getting on because you wasted my day. That's the only reason. Because you wasted my time, now I'm going to waste your time. It's a tit for tat in my world. But in every other aspect, people are allowed to change their mind. And I think it's hard to really say that because there's a frustration that comes because this lady in a way kind of messed up the show. And this lady in a way could have possibly known that it wasn't her time. Like, I mean, or that this was part of the show, and that if she didn't want to do it, she shouldn't have let them take her up on stage in the first place. But again, I say to that, people are allowed to change their mind. Here's my thing. has nothing to do with that situation at all. But Usher, back in the day, I remember about 10 years ago, maybe 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I just remember there used to be so much news about Usher. There was a lawsuit that he didn't disclose that I think he had genital herpes, and this lady was real mad because she felt like she got it from him and said something about a green discharge. This is the reason that I have never, ever, ever, ever had a crush on Usher. I didn't have a crush on him because he frustrated me with that song. I didn't think that much about it, but then the lawsuit came out and I said, a green discharge? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. And then after that, because I feel like my kids were small. So I'm giving that maybe 2012. But then after that, maybe 5 or 6 years later, there was another resurgence of like people saying um, he gave them a VD. Like, and it made the news. And it made the news that people were saying he gave me something, some level of venereal disease. And I just thought, "Nyeh, nyeh." He did pay a settlement. A settlement is not an admission of guilt, or is it? Doesn't even matter. That's Usher's life. That's Usher's business. But for that reason alone, I just said some of that stuff doesn't go away. This is not the man for me. And then I said, I think my muscles are bigger than his. This is not the man for me. Anyway, all that to say, I don't have a crush on this man in any way. I don't understand the excitement about this part of his show, but I do appreciate the respect that he showed that woman. I do. I do. And I'm a little sad that people really feel like she shouldn't have been up there in the first place and had the opportunity to change her mind. Granted, she could have handled the whole thing better. But and I bet you her response was like trash, really. I think it was probably pretty offensive, and that's probably why people are not okay with her. But people are allowed to change their mind. They really are. Unless, like I said, you make me stand in line with you for the roller coaster that I didn't want to be on in the first place. Now we're both on this roller coaster. Now we're both going to hate life until this ride is over. All right, time to go to work.